Time to get to the people, time to get to this knowledge. Like a nail with a hammer, or a nail with the polish. We're straight to the point as we get under these layers. Let Julius Hammond get your wealth up in the air. It's not how you get the money, but how you gon' keep it. He deodorizing your brain to uncover the secrets. So in order to peep it, you gotta make sure you listen. Every line to get you hooked for financially fishing. And accomplish the mission of being set for life. Hitting all of your goals, not once but twice. The same way a doctor learns going to health camp. You can listen to this and become a wealth champ. Wealth champ. Wealth champ. Wealth champ. Wealth champ.
Welcome to Wealth Champs Podcast. I'm your host, Julius Hammond. We back with another fire guest, another fire interview. But I've been out for a while, so I know a lot of y'all have been asking me, hey, what's been going on? Have some personal stuff going on, but we back in full effect. But before I reveal who my guest is, I need y'all to do a few things. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you comment, especially my guest people, because, you know, y'all his people. We got to support, and he's doing a lot for the community and his business and the things that he got going on. So I want to reveal who my guest is right now. He is he published 2 books. He has his own speaking company, Progression Conference. He's all over the world with that. He's good friends with Les Brown. He's been on stages with Kevin Harrington, Ryan Long. The list goes on and on. He's newly married to his beautiful wife, L'Oreal. We'll get into a story about that. And he's out here in Vegas and doing big things with his company, Progreda. I believe I said that right. If I did not, he'll correct me. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys give a warm welcome to Andy Audate. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm excited to be here with you, man. The opportunity is to show up, and I'm glad that I showed up and connected with you again.
There you go, man. There you go. Hey, guys, I've been knowing Andy for a while. I actually took his speaking company or speaking business. Progression what? What was it called?
We had a few courses. One of them was the Elite Speaker Public Academy.
Okay.
Or Elite Public Speaker Academy.
That's what it was. Actually, you know what's crazy, Andy, before we get into your story, Chris Weindorf, Wyman, yeah. I just took his Ultimate Speaker course last month out here in Vegas. So he told me, I told him I was going to be interviewing you, and he was like, man, you know, he was excited. So I'm probably have him on too. But before we get into your business and what you do to help people, what is Andy Audate's story? Like, tell people about how you grew up, you know, what was like growing up, where you grew up at, you know, things like that.
So I grew up in the smallest state in the country, which is Rhode Island, and then I grew up in the smallest city in that state. I was just there last week, and it's coming from living in LA for so many years, where, you know, it's really the whole West Coast, right? Majority of the West Coast, and you can travel for 4 hours and still be in the same state. But in Rhode Island, man, you travel for 15 minutes, you're in another state, right? Because it's so small, right? Wow. The city that I was in was 1 square mile, and in that 1 square mile, you got 1 gas station, 1 school, and so it's a small community. And for the majority of the community, man, is drug dealers, gangbangers, and alike. And at least in my perspective of the world, when I grew up there, and I wanted to leave that business or that world, so I got into becoming an entrepreneur, and I opened up my first cell phone store, and I opened up a cell phone store at 19. I made my first $1 million by 21. I took that money by opening up 4 cell phone stores with T-Mobile. I took that money and I moved to the West Coast, and then I started a marketing agency on the West Coast, helping small businesses grow and scale their marketing. And then now today we help these small businesses, and we give them the marketing software so that way they can do marketing themselves.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. Growing up in Rhode Island, I heard you say you kind of dealt with gangs and a lot of things that was going on right there, right? But did you have any siblings? You know, how was, you know, did you grow up with your mom, dad? How was that part of growing up?
Yeah, I grew up with my mom and my dad, and you know, for the majority of my time growing up, they were in the house. Okay. And you know, I'm fortunate that my mom is a praying mom, and while we were young, there was a tremendous amount of opportunities that we could got caught up in the streets, but it seemed like it always dodged us. I'll share with you a quick story, man. Like how I realized that it was constantly dodging me. One of my buddies, one night he came. I went to go pick him up, and back then you don't drive new cars. Like today, I drive a car of the year, but back then you drive 10, 15-year-old cars. So I remember I had a 99 Honda Accord, and this was probably 2014. Okay. And so I'm driving a 15-year-old car, and I go to a city that is unknown to me, and I make a U-turn. So I picked up my buddy, and we're in the car, and he says, "Hey, I got something. Let me just put it in the back." And he put it in the trunk. I'm like, "What you put in the trunk?" He goes, "It's a pillow." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What's a pillow?" And so a pillow means a pound.
We know what that is. Yep.
Yeah. And so he has a pound of drugs in the trunk, and I'm like, "All right, just put the pillow in the trunk." And then so we're going to a party in a city that I'm not familiar with. So we get to the city, and the map system that I'm using, Google Maps, tells me, "Hey, do a U-turn." And so I did a U-turn, and a cop pulls me out of nowhere. Like, I didn't even know where the cop was. And then the cop, says, "Hey, can I have your driver's license?" and so forth. And I give him that information, and he goes to my passenger. My passenger is like, "Hey, give me your driver's license." And my passenger's like, "I don't have a license." And then the cop says, "Hey, what is your name?" He's like, "I'm not telling you my name."
Okay.
And I looked at him. I'm like, "Bro, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And then the guy was like, "Okay, why don't you want to tell me your name?" And then my passenger says, "Because it's a common name." And he goes, "Okay, give me your social security number." He's like, "I ain't telling you that either."
Yeah.
And I'm like, looking at him, I'm like, "Yo, you're gonna be the one to get us jammed up right now, right? Knowing what we have in the trunk, you're gonna be the one to get us jammed." But ultimately, what ended up happening, something else that was more major and more important, the cop left us. And it's like moments like that where I'm realizing, like, I was a driver. It was technically mine because I'm the driver. This is my car.
Yep.
And
they can put it on you.
They could put it on me. Yeah. And I can see that there were many moments like that where there were shootings, where there was gang fights, where I just missed it by the skin of my teeth. And I believe that it was my praying mom that was covering me the whole entire journey.
Wow.
As I lived in that area. And I knew I didn't want to live that lifestyle. So I said, I want to go get a job that I can make a limited amount of money.
Yeah.
And someone said to me one day, "Hey, man, the way to make a limited amount of money, you got to get into sales." And I was like, "What's sales?" I'm used to flipping burgers because I used to work at fast food.
Yeah.
And he said, "No, go sell a product." And I'm like, "Okay, what product can I sell?" I mean, you could go work at any company. Go work at T-Mobile. I said, "All right, I'm going to go work at T-Mobile." So I went to T-Mobile and went ask for a job, and they said no. They said no. And
best thing they said to you. Yeah.
Best thing they said to me. They said, because at the time I was like 18 years old, and I looked different, man. I was sagging my pants back then. I looked.
Oh, we all been through it, man. Yeah, I done been through that too. Yeah.
Right? You understand?
Yeah.
And T-Mobile said no, and then so I went down the street to a company called Metro PCS. And when I walked into the Metro PCS, there was a gentleman behind the table. And I walk up to the gentleman. I say, "Hey, back then you would do paper applications. Today it's like it's a whole nother process, right?"
Yeah.
But I would give him my resume, and the gentleman said to me, "Oh, I'll give it to the manager. I'll give it to the manager." I said, "Okay." And I went down to another T-Mobile down the street, or another Metro PCS down the street.
Okay.
And then I also gave them my resume, thinking that there were two different locations.
Okay.
Ended up being a franchise under the same company. But the second location gave me my chance, and they called me back. So I went to go work at Metro PCS. When I worked at Metro PCS, I learned the Metro PCS system, and then a few years later, while working at Metro PCS, they got acquired by T-Mobile, and then there was an opportunity to franchise with T-Mobile, and that's when I started my T-Mobile journey and so forth.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's an awesome story. And you were talking about your praying mother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up in church. I played drums for my church. I was just telling our producer here that I've served in churches and mega churches and things like that. I've worked with the media. I've served camera. I've done doing pro presenters. I've done some editing and stuff behind the scenes. And when you're around church people, and like I growing up in church, it's like the spirit is in you. It's like, you try to get away from it. And even if you kind of digress a little bit because of life and life start hitting you, you always come back, right? That's the whole purpose of prayer, because they're praying over you for when things happen, for things to go right, God to be always with you. And God was with you. And, during those times, man, because you could be a different person right now, have an F on your report card, felony. That's pretty much what I'm saying. But you got to have that on your background and all that. But God was with you, man. And, and for you to go through that stuff, it made you who you are today. So kudos to you for that.
There were some moments, man. I got friends who are doing life in prison and so forth. Yeah. So there were definitely some moments where I do wake up and I'm like very grateful knowing where I come from, that I made it out. And my objective now is to share with other folks that hey, you can make it out too, whatever your circumstance is.
Yeah.
And not be a product of your environment, but actually recreate your own environment and what you want to create.
There you go. Okay, so I know your story a little bit because like I said, we've been cool for a long time. We don't talk every day, but we've been cool for a while, right? And like I said, I took your speaking thing and everything, so I know about your story. I know your books, No More Average, things like that. I've read a lot of those books and stuff, and great book, man. Great book.
Appreciate you.
If you guys haven't get it, go on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I believe it's in Barnes & Noble, but
All
wherever books are sold, No More Average. You could definitely get that book. Okay,
For sure.
So, but anyway, one of the things in your story that I think resonates not only with me but with a lot of other people is that at one point in time you were addicted to porn. And so can you talk about your porn addiction and how you got over that? Because a lot of men struggle with that even to this day. And they're like, man, I want to get out, but I want to stop, but it's just like it's a drug, it's an addiction.
Yeah.
So what steps did you take in order to get over that, and what would you recommend other men or even women? Some women get addicted to porn too, to get over that.
When I was 11 or maybe younger than that, someone in my family introduced me to it.
Okay.
And the dopamine hit. It's a consistent journey, and you keep wanting to hit that dopamine hit and experience that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Some people get introduced to drugs when they're young, right? So you hear some drug addicts who are like, hey, I tried heroin when I was 14 years old, or I tried crack when I was this age. So everyone has a different journey, and some people it's not even porn or drugs, it's anger and it's argumentative or whatever it is in their journey.
They're addicted to that. It's like, dude, you're always angry. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So everyone has their own journey, but for me in my journey, pornography was one of those things that were constantly. That's where the devil plays with my mind, right? That's where the devil is the devil's playground, because it slows me down and it has me thinking of just getting off my mission. That's really what it's been, and so forth. And I replaced it. I realized I couldn't necessarily stop the addiction, the ability of having an addiction.
I know what you're about to say. Yep.
And so I replaced it. So when I looked at other men who were addicted to something, whether they were addicted to drugs, they were addicted to sleeping with different women, that there are some people who have that issue, addicted to anger, addicted to fighting, addicted to whatever, that addictive personality still remains. And then I just replaced it.
There you go.
And so, like, for example, right now, what I do is I do a lot of training. I lift a lot of weight. So this morning I did a PR on shoulders, a personal record on shoulders.
I want to talk about your weight loss journey next.
Yeah. So we're working out every day. Last week the week before last, I did a 6 mile PR. So like my personal record was now 6 miles consistent, running straight. Right. So like shifting my focus now. This year I'm doing a trifecta in Spartan, which what that means is I'm doing a 3.5 Spartan race, which is the obstacle race, the ability to get into the mud and climb ladders and so forth, and your
military stuff,
military style, right?
Yep.
And so you do one for 3.5 miles, you do another one for 7.5 miles, you do another one for 13 miles, and in that journey, I'm preparing for doing that style of running in a marathon.
Okay.
And so I just completely replaced that now, and that feeling that porn gave me, essentially, that happens to my muscles now. That feeling that, oh shit, like I'm tight right now. Like my arms are tight, but it's also shifting my body, and ironically shifting my mindset as well. Yeah,
and it's funny you say that because I can't remember who said it, but they say, it's a lot of people, a lot of philosophers out there, but he said, I don't know if it was Marcus Aurelius or somebody, but they said, when you have an addiction or you're addicted to something, you don't get rid of the addiction. Addiction will always be there deep down, but you have to replace it with something. You replace a habit. You don't get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? So I truly am astounded by you, and also what it's doing is by you working out, you're getting your mind sharper. You're releasing those dopamines. You're getting your body right. Yeah. I'm a workout warrior. I work about 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm steam room. I'm all that stuff.
Yeah,
right. So right now, like you can't see it, but I'm cut up. I'm nicely cut. You know what I'm saying? And I see you losing weight, man. Let's transition a little bit. Like, how's that journey coming from you? Last time I saw you were a little bit bigger, but you're a little bit smaller now. You still got the size, but you're starting to shape up a little bit. How's that journey coming, man? How's your diet and everything?
So it's the journey for sure, man. And it's really about replacing habits for me.
Yeah.
And what I told my coach yesterday morning when we went to the gym, I said, this is not a fitness journey, man. This is a mental journey.
Yep.
Because it's when there's hiccups along your journey. So like last week, I was in 3 different states. I was on 4 different planes.
Okay.
So now my habit shifted a little bit, because I usually wake up in the morning at 3:50 in the morning and I go to the gym. So now I have this routine, but now I'm in a different state, different time zone. And those things is what I'm learning on how to adapt to. That when I travel, which I spend half the month into other cities next week. I'm going to be in Dallas in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be in UK in a couple of weeks right after Dallas. So I have all this travel. So every month, half the month, I'm away. So it's really about building that regimen. So I'll give you an example of what I discovered recently.
Okay.
What I discovered is when I would travel, because I don't have my meal prepped, I'm looking at like, hey, you know what? Let me not make a decision. I won't eat.
Yeah.
And then, which is not healthy. And then,
especially when you go to Dallas, because I go to Texas all the time, and they be eating out there.
They be eating for sure.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
And then, in that scenario, I'm like, okay, I haven't eaten in 8 hours or 12 hours. What do I do? And I get hungry, and then I end up making a poor decision. So I started noticing this trend of me making that poor decision. So to reenact based off of my goals, to fight that based off of my goals, I have my assistant pre-send meal prep foods to the hotel that I'm staying at.
Got you.
And specific waters. So, for example, the last time I was in Dallas, when I got to the hotel, they already say, welcome, Mr. Audate. Your meal prep is already in your hotel room. So my assistant coordinated with a local meal prep company to deliver it to the hotel. Coordinated with another company to deliver the waters, my gallons of water to the hotel. And then she coordinated with the hotel to make sure that I had a big enough fridge in the hotel room. So as soon as I land, I get off the plane, I get an Uber to the hotel room, to my hotel. There's already my food there.
Kudos to the assistant.
So my assistant, she's amazing, man. And so now we're realizing, okay, this is the process. And we're gonna overspend and get more food just in case, right? So there's no way you can fuck up.
There you go.
Just in case.
There you go.
And so now it's realizing like these systems is what's gonna help me ultimately reach our goal. So one day I'm cut up like you.
I'm cut, but I'm not where I like to be. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, when you kind of observe yourself and analyze yourself, you're like, all right, I look nice, but I'm not where I want to be yet.
For sure,
you know what I mean? Like, I want to get like on Terry Crews status. Like, I ain't gonna lie, or young Tyrese, not Tyrese now. I mean, he been Hollywood eating. But anyway, okay, let's get to some business stuff. So, like I said before, I took your course a few years back and learned so much from you back then on how to be a professional speaker, okay? The proof is in the show up and all that stuff, right? And so for the listening audience, what does it take to be a professional speaker if somebody's trying to get into that particular industry? What does it really take?
So there's 2 elements, and what we would have talked about a lot is the money aspect, right?
Yeah.
And so you writing the book is actually profound, right? And you writing your book, because that is a step towards the money.
You told me that. Yep, that always stood in my head. Yep.
Years ago, when I got into the speaking industry, late 2015, early 2016.
Okay.
And I got a chance early in that career to travel around with the number 1 motivational speaker at the time, Les Brown.
Yep.
And so I would travel. I mean, we're in hotel rooms. I'm in city to city, state to state. We'll do an event in Vegas. We'll do an event in Dallas. We'll do an event in Houston. And my job essentially was twofold. Number 1 is I would fill up the seminar rooms.
Okay.
So I would bring in the audience to the seminar rooms by selling the tickets. That's number 1. Number 2 is once Les Brown hit the town, he would just shoot me a text and say, I'm at the airport, come pick me up. And I would just go whatever car I had at the time, go to the airport, pick him up, and bring him to his hotel room and make sure that everything was set up for him. Essentially what my assistant does today, I was doing that for Les when we were traveling, right?
Okay.
The getting is in the service. So you want to grow, you service others. And so I serviced Les for many years in his vision. And in serving Les Brown, I started understanding and picking up, like, okay, where is the money made? Because for a long period of time, I thought that it was by getting on stage. So after working with Les Brown, during the journey of working with Les Brown, I would call different businesses. I would say, hey, I'll speak for you. And hey, man, other people charge 10 grand. I'll do it for 5.
There you go.
5 grand. And then they'll be like, what the hell? Who the hell are you?
Yeah. You have no brand. Who are you? Yeah.
I'm not interested in paying you 5. I said, all right, I'll do it for 2,500. And they're like, no, I'm not interested in that either.
Yeah.
all right, man, just give me 500, man, 500. Let's get started, bro. Let's do it for 500.
Okay.
Dude, I'm not even interested to have you at all. And hang up on me, right? So I was doing that for a duration of time, and I realized that there's no money in speaking. That's not where the money's at. The people that are getting paid 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand is because they are a celebrity.
Yep.
And then
they got a brand.
They got a brand.
Yep.
And the fact that because they got a brand, why are they getting paid the 40 grand, 50 grand, whatever the number is, 10 grand, is because if I bring in the speaker, I can sell, if I pay this speaker 10 grand to show up to my event, just based off the credibility of their name, I can sell 40 grand worth of ticket sales. I can sell 50 grand. So it's an investment to pay $10,000 because I'm going to make 50 grand on the back end.
There you go.
But if you don't have a brand, then you're not going to be able to get those opportunities.
Yeah.
So I said, what happens if you don't have a brand? What do you need? In addition to having a brand, you need a product because your product is going to fuel the growth of your brand. So you need to have a product to be able to sell when you're on stage.
And a product meaning a book, something that's tangible that somebody can pick up. T-shirts, or would you say merchandise is a product too, or that's kind of part of the brand if you're a speaker?
If you are looking to just like make like $2 grand, $3 grand, $4 grand a month, maybe a product is going to be a book, or a T-shirt or something of that nature. Okay. You want to sell something that's on the higher end or that has recurring revenue.
Okay. Elaborate a little bit on that for the ones who want to be a speaker. Like they inspire to be a speaker right now, like an Andy. So, what product can they come up with or whatever to be able to? Of course. Okay.
Of course.
I got you.
So, for example, back then, I sold the different levels of courses of speaking, right? But let's say, for example, a $997 a month course. Okay. And that's what I created back then, many years ago, is a course on how to speak on stage and how to communicate effectively. Okay. Your stage presence, how to get your audience to be in your room. All the knowledge that I already knew on how to communicate and the business of speaking, I put it into an online course, sell it for $997 a month. So now if I go and speak, I can now sell a program for $997 a month.
Monetize in other ways, yep.
And let's say if from a speaking engagement, I get 10 people to buy my online course. Now I'm getting 10 grand a month from my online course. Okay. So that's when I learned that's where the money's being made. When you see all of these speakers who are traveling and they're speaking on a bunch of stages, most of them aren't getting paid. Usually, actually, most of them paid to speak on that stage because the event host has to market the event. So the event host asks the speaker, like, hey, you're going to benefit. You're going to get paid on this. And if you're not, then, you have a terrible business model, but you're going to make money on this if you have a great business model. Why don't you pay for the slot to help me fund the people getting in the room in the first place? And that's what I realized. That's the journey. So when you see speakers who are doing these tours and they're on multiple stages back to back, that's because they have a product. And every time that they speak, it's a profitable venture for them. They're not going on stage and all the host is paying them $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 every single time, unless they are a super, super celebrity. Yeah, like an Eric Thomas, Les Brown, Kevin Harrington, someone who has a brand and a name where they can, they're going to bring not only themselves, but they're going to bring their audience, their people to come over to listen or to be a part of my particular seminar. Then that's when those type of speakers. Let's take someone like E.T. I mean, he's probably making $100,000, at least $100,000 per engagement. I mean, because he's so up there, he's the #1 speaker, in the world. But even him, he has a product though. Yeah. So he'll share with you his speaker academy, his speaker boot camp, and he'll put you inside of a sales funnel. Yeah. Right. He'll put you inside of a sales funnel, and even someone like E.T. today. Yes, there may be organizations that will pay him the $100,000, but it's not every single day that they're knocking at the door like, hey, I want to pay you $100,000. Right? It's some time within that. Yeah, it's some time between that. So you may get an AT&T gig, and AT&T pays you $100,000, but really what they're paying is a small percentage compared to the actual value that you bring. Yeah, because they're only paying you for that hour slot, right? Yeah. So where are you making the rest of the money? Where it's a small percentage. Your rest of the money is on your back end products. That's where your rest of your money is at, is on your back-end products. And I started identifying this because the people who were, when I was hosting seminars, and mind you, my job was to fill up these seminar rooms, and I would see all of these speakers, pay for their own flight, flying their team. And I'm like, how are you doing this? And they'll tell me, oh, it's the back-end product. So there was this one scenario, man. I remember in 2000, I don't know the year, but this was many years ago.
Okay.
And this was back in my filling up seminar days.
Mm-hmm.
And this gentleman spoke on stage. I knew of him. I didn't know him very well at the time. Today, we're great friends. But years ago, I knew of him. And he went on stage and he said, hey, audience, he gave like 15, 20-minute talk. And he said, hey, audience, you can make more money by doing X. And he broke down whatever that X was, which is his process. Mm-hmm. If you want to learn more information, text this word to this phone number.
Okay.
And then everyone in the audience texted the word to this phone number.
Okay.
And he said, all right, thank you guys. And he got off the stage and he walked off. And I gave him a pound.
Okay.
We pounded it. And he looked at me. He said, I probably just made about $90,000.
What?
And I said,
just from that?
He said, sure, I don't understand. Show me the math.
Yeah.
And then he broke down this funnel, this journey, that when a lead opted in, they would go down to this program, and it was a 2-day summit, and they would go down to this event. They would learn his system, and it was free. And then they would purchase an online program, and that online program was $1,500. And then from that online program, they would pay $10,000 to go. So that journey might have been 4 to 6 months.
Wow.
But just based off his stats, every time he does an event with this size audience, he'll pull in X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
So he came to me and he's like, yeah, I probably just did $90,000. But he just walked off on stage. No flyers, no paperwork, no credit card machine. He just walked off on stage. Wow. And I said, hey, can I give you a ride home? Right? Mm-hmm. And ironically, we were neighbors. As I dropped him to his house, I'm like, I live here too. Wow. It was downtown. We were in downtown LA.
Wow.
And,
that's amazing.
And so we ended up playing basketball. We ended up spending a lot of time together, and he taught me so much about this back end system, right? You get someone to text in, opt in, they go to upsell to your this product, and then from this product you get to upsell to this product, and from this product you get to upsell
to there.
And then you have this ascension ladder of different products, and then now I understand. Yeah, you just have people text you a specific keyword. Now they're inside of your funnel.
Wow, that's amazing, man. You see how God works, man? He just broke everything down. That was fantastic, Andy. Next question. We have your beautiful wife behind the scenes right here, Lori.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people, they have their husband and wives together, but they work separately. And so a lot of them are like, man, I want to work with my wife and husband, but maybe they're not in sync or whatever. But how is it working with your spouse in business, and any ups and downs in that with working with your wife? Like, what's the ups and what could be the downside, as far as working with your spouse?
The ups, I mean, is quality time, like the ability, like right now where she's behind the camera in the studio, right? Yeah. And, she was working a job of, I don't know, like a nurse or something. Yeah. 12-hour shift a day at a hospital, I wouldn't see her at all. Yeah. So that's definitely an up. A down is that we work together. So, right. A down is that we work together, so then you end up seeing each other more, and like
you guys should see how she's looking at it right now. She's looking at this. She's looking like, okay, you better have them good answers right now. Yeah,
so you have. How was your day? Well, you know how the day was,
yeah,
right?
He was with me.
He was with me,
exactly.
Right? How was your day? Well, I did a podcast, and I did a call. Yeah. Well, you were there during that as well, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's cool because we get to experience a lot of different elements together.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. That's good. A lot of people look to do that. Like my wife is a traveling nurse, and she's also a prophetic. No
disrespect on the nurses.
Yeah. She's actually a nurse. Yeah, she's been a nurse for about 25 years, something like that. I'm the entrepreneur in the family, but she's kind of venturing over to the entrepreneur side. She got her life license and life coach and all that stuff. So I'm helping her with that part of the business and everything. So it can be difficult, you know what I mean? Because my wife she's Nigerian. She grew up, I'm African American. I took a 23andMe, so I'm 66% Nigerian. So she loves that. Yeah. Like, okay, well you're part of the land, right? But you have the cultural clashes too. So it's like, I grew up, I've been with her for about 13 years, and she still has that alpha kind of like, all right, well, if you mess up, I don't need you type stuff. And it's like sometimes we clash. We're a lot better now than compared to we was in our marriage, but it can be a little difficult. So a lot of times I just kind of like, all right, well, you're good at organizing. I'm an A type. I'm a go getter. I make it happen. Hey, I see it. I go get it. You organize it. That's your thing. So we kind of have our tit for tat, but we also come together on certain things. I leverage her skills and her talents, and she does the same thing with me. So if I had to give advice, that's what I would say to do if you're going to work with your spouse, because it can it can be a little, up and down. It depends on how how you guys get along or what your relationship is like. So that's good that you guys have that type of dynamic.
For sure.
What's in the future for Andy? Like, you got your business stuff going on. What do you see the next 5, 10 years, 20 years down the line with Andy, Lori, and Progreda?
So, in that journey of selling courses, so I sold courses, and back then I sold courses at different levels. And the only time that I really had any freedom was when I had cash flow coming in, right, through these online programs. When I sold a course for, let's say, $4,000, $5,000, whatever, it could be $100.
Yeah.
That money comes in and it goes out as fast as it can be, right?
Cash flow in, cash flow out, yep.
But when I saw monthly recurring revenue, when I had a customer, for example, pay $9.97 a month for X amount of months, or on a monthly subscription, I realized the more that stacks up, the more freedom that you have.
Yeah.
Right? Or the more freedom that I had. So now I'm doing it myself, where I'm creating monthly recurring revenue by selling software. So my software is a platform that helps people generate leads.
Okay.
So like, for example, the way that people would do it on my platform is that they would use that text, the keyword. And if you like, you can do it in a demonstration. You can try it out yourself. Text the word demo, DEMO, to 702-930. 702, let me get the number. 702-830. Oh shit, what the hell is the number? I don't even know what the number is.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it, and then during editing, we'll have the number on the bottom of the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you text that number to that phone number, and then you can generate leads, and that's what our platform does. I have probably 26 different numbers, so that's why I'm like, which number am I using in the scenario, right?
Yeah.
But by creating monthly recurring revenue, you can help other people go ahead, and you can help people on a consistent basis because you have the cash flow coming in. So where we're going now is we're teaching essentially what I did in 2016, 17, and so on and so forth, how we created a monthly recurring revenue, and we're teaching them how to do it themselves. So that way they can either A, sell software, or B, be a coach by creating monthly recurring revenue. So that way they're not selling the high ticket stuff. Okay. And they're not having to work a job. We teach them how to get their first 20 customers at $500 a month, making that 10 grand a month. And then now they're able to leave their job, or they're able to leave high ticket industry and have cash flow coming in every single month. Okay.
So if someone wants to buy, and that's what Progreda does, right?
That's what Progreda does.
So if someone wants to buy your software, it's an intellectual property thing. So they buy into your software, and then they have access to everything that your software does, and they go and sell it for whatever price they can, or a cool little price, $500, $1,000, whatever they can sell it to the audience for to make a profit. That's how they do.
So at Progreda, the software is the platform that they'll use to launch their program. Okay. So they can launch their online course. Okay. They can generate leads. They can build their website, build their marketing funnels, build the text message sequences and the email sequences. Okay. So all of that is what Progreda does. Okay. And then we coach and consult on top of that, on top of Progreda, to show you how to build your online program and how to sell your own online program and sell it for a subscription and then retain those customers.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. We're going to be wrapping up here in a minute, but is there anything else you want to talk about, discuss, have, any projects you're working on? It don't matter what it is, let the audience know.
Yeah, Progreda is really where it's at and where our focus is on. It's really the tool to go ahead and start scaling a business. So if you already have a product and you're like, hey, how do I generate more leads? How do I generate more customers? Mm-hmm. You can use Progreda to generate more business by setting up sales appointments on your calendar, closing more deals, and so forth. So that's really about it, man. And Progreda is really our focus.
Okay. One last question. Any kids in the future between you and Lori? You guys got any plans on that, or just focus on business right now and then that happen when it happens?
Right now, it's focus on business.
There you go. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, Andy, thank you, brother.
Hey, appreciate
you,
always,
man. He out here in beautiful Las Vegas. We're making it happen, and it's a lot of development happening in Las Vegas, guys. A lot of it. We just don't have the football team, but we got the baseball team coming over. We got F1 out here. They're building a 50. I don't know if you saw it during development, but they're building a $50 million restaurant a $50 million restaurant. I saw it on the city website. So that's where they're tearing down Tropicana to build it right there. So I'm
and
just
are they
like,
building
yeah.
a baseball park as well?
Yeah, for the Oakland, formerly Oakland A's. Now it seems like Oakland losing everybody. Like,
Are they coming here?
Yeah, so Oakland lost the 40,
Raiders?
I mean, the Raiders, and then now they lost the A's, and so all the California teams are coming over here. So they still got the 49ers out there, So the 49ers retaining what they doing. So they were just in the Super Bowl. So, but yeah, Las Vegas is the place to be, guys. So it's a lot, beautiful houses out here. We got myself, we got Andy out here. We got Lori. We making things happen, and that's what it's about. It's about building wealth together. Wealth consists of 5 components. Mentalism, your health, your finances, your spiritual life, and building sound relationships. Relationships is key, guys. I tell everybody all the time. Your relationships is going to get you to the next level. It's not always about sharing monetary gain, but a lot of times, things will come back into you in different ways. It come back into opportunities. Like you said, opportunity is in the show up. You show up and you show out, and got to make it happen. So, With all that being said, I love you with the love of the Lord. Wealth Chance family, we out.
Peace.